the collaborative firm, Shelby, and all those that went into this effort. It's long overdue, and it's just one more notch in us as a city moving forward into the 21st century. So I just can't thank you guys enough.
You're welcome, Mayor.
Thank you so much. So if it's okay, thank you, Mayor. I want to also introduce everyone else from the collaborative firm team, and most importantly, from the City of Forest Park. So we have Mr. James Shelby with us here tonight, who is the Director of Building and Zoning.
Good evening. Good evening.
We have, I lost her face, we have Miss Caitlin Hungate, who is the planner here in Forest Park. Wave and say hi.
Hi, sorry. Technical difficulties.
I am Casey Kurzik. I am the project manager for this zoning ordinance update with the collaborative firm. And joining me here tonight is Rachel Staley, who is our transportation planner and assisting on this project.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
And we also have Miss Ozzy Kashani, who is with our communications team. She's the manager over there. So she's assisting us not only here tonight in running the meeting, but in through all of the public involvement phase.
And then Casey, don't forget about Cassandra.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. And Miss Cassandra is with us. Is she on video? Do we see her?
I'm not on video, but
okay.
Hi, everyone.
So say hello to her.
Hi, Cassandra.
Going undercover as Mr. Kenneth Thompson, but that's just because we had a computer swap at the end here. So if it's okay with everyone, I'm going to share my screen and we are going to kick off this meeting. So we've done the introductions. And I'm going to turn this over to Ozzy for just a little bit to give everyone just some housekeeping items for the meeting today. This is designed to be an interactive meeting. We're expecting about 15 to 20 people to join us throughout this hour long. And so there'll just be different ways to interact with us through this process.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Just wanted to share some information about the project and, or not the project, excuse me, the way that the meeting is going to go tonight. We have about an hour long from 6 to 7 p.m. However, we may go a little over if there's a lot of questions. If you have any project related questions, we ask that you please use the chat box that is located at the bottom of your screen. You should see that chat box there, and we will address as many questions and comments as time will allow. You'll also be asked a series of questions during the presentation. We ask that you submit your answers in the chat box, and then we will call on different participants to unmute and speak further on their answer. There'll also be some interactive poll questions that will come up on screen. For those questions, you may there's going to be a multiple choice answer that pops up in a dialogue on your screen. Just click A or B. And then we'll also be, you'll be receiving a survey at the end of this meeting, and we ask that you take 5 or 10 minutes to complete that survey, as it will help to advise the zoning ordinance update. And finally, you can find project-related information about, about the project on the webpage that lives on the City of Forest Park website, and includes information about the project as well as information about upcoming meetings and milestones. There's an email address there as well. That if you have any other questions that we weren't able to address during this presentation, you can do it. You can reach out to Forest Park Zoning Update at tcfatl.com.
Thank you so much. So let's get started here tonight. We kind of have a pretty packed agenda, so we will keep it moving, but we do want to give you a lot of background information, and really so you can digest what is all involved in this zoning ordinance update. So if you're a little planning geeky like me, the first thing is why do we zone? And I just really want everyone to know that this is something that the Georgia Constitution allows all municipalities, whether cities, towns, or counties, to actually do. It allows them to adopt a zoning ordinance, which is really the text within the city, and also adopt a zoning map, and then render certain decisions on zoning items such as rezonings or conditional uses or even variances. So why is zoning important? The zoning ordinance itself is really just a lot of words, but it is designed to have a predictable use of adjacent properties. So this prevents commercial businesses or industrial buildings from being scattered between residential homes. It confirms uniformity in lot development. So it establishes building heights, setbacks, and prevents lots from being irregular sizes. It prevents adverse built conditions on adjacent properties. So that what that means is it establishes certain height limitations, lot coverages, which essentially correlates to buildings, driveways, sidewalks that are on a lot, the setbacks of those different buildings, and things such as fence heights. So maybe some of you out there have had some issues, maybe just with your neighbors, or you've seen different things happening in areas throughout the county or throughout the cities. So this is just one way to kind of make some uniformity. It also requires compatible land uses. And ultimately, this protects property values and the health and safety concerns by adding predictability to certain districts and the uses that are allowed in them. And then finally, it is really the appearance of what you see as you drive down the road and you walk through the community and interact with businesses or subdivisions or as you're going to work. And that is to aim to improve the appearance of certain areas. So things such as landscaping, lighting, off-street parking, and signage are all things that are in the zoning ordinance. So we'll be touching on some of those tonight. And so really, when it comes down to it, what is the zoning ordinance? The zoning ordinance is truly the official city law that defines how property can be used and zoned. Typically, the zoning ordinance has several sections located within it. And they're really important sections. So first, we usually have the administration, and that gives the governing authority throughout the city. It has all of the definitions when it comes to the uses, to the setbacks, to any of the words and text in there that may not be so simple to understand. And it also defines the rules for each uses. Now, I think one thing, even if you haven't interacted directly with the zoning ordinance itself, everyone probably knows and realizes that different zoning districts are identified within a typical zoning ordinance. And those districts are usually separated into residential, commercial, industrial, mixed use, or other different specialty districts. And then once again, we kind of talked a little bit about those district standards. So that is going to identify what uses are permitted, which ones may be a conditional use, and which ones just aren't allowed at all. It identifies the setbacks. So what that would be is how far either a business or your home is set back from the street or from your property line. It identifies the lot size. So that is truly the width and the depth of the lots. And things like lot coverage, which we talked about a little bit, but ultimately there's a lot of things that go into that, making sure that things like stormwater, so when it rains, that water running off isn't just going on to adjacent properties. It also talks about supplemental regulations, which are going to be the materials that a building can be built with, accessory structures. So those are things like garages or sheds. Sometimes playground equipment is involved in that. Parking, landscaping, lighting, and signage. Then, of course, there's always a process that has to go through. So if any of you have had the pleasure of having to maybe just do an update on your home, you know that even if you build a deck, that you would have to seek a permit for something like that. So these proper processes identify the administrative review that the city has, how a subdivision is defined and approved, how a zoning or a conditional use is reviewed and approved, and variances. And then, of course, there is enforcement, because we know that maybe not always everyone follows the rules. So we want to make sure that people are given the ability to first understand what is required of them, to potentially change or correct those items, and then if not, what those penalties would be. So let's take a little look at the current zoning ordinance. It was originally adopted in 1959. No joke, that's almost 61 years ago. That's just what it is. It's been amended through the years, typically on an as-needed basis. So when a new use or a new thought or a new district came around, they would just go through and do that one text for that item at a time. And so what that actually did is it created an ordinance that it's a little disjointed. Some things are not even mentioned in the ordinance. There are a lot of things that are outdated, such as uses and terms. And that is a little bit hard, not only for residents, but for business owners, for developers, and also for the city staff, because you want to make sure that the codes and the ordinances are consistent and that everyone can understand what is going to be needed throughout their process. So many of you know this project did not just start today. We started it just about two and a half months ago. And we started with interviewing the elected and the appointed city officials. And then we also asked other key users of the ordinance to kind of tell us what was happening in the codes, what they were seeing when permits came through, what they heard when business owners or residents were talking to them. And through that process, we actually determined an overall goal and vision for this project. And those are going to be to improve the organization and user friendliness for all of those users, to incorporate graphs, charts, and illustrations, to define all of those uses and terms, to update the zoning districts, to integrate architectural and site design requirements, to modernize the use classification, and to streamline those review processes. So one of the things that we look at from the planning side when we go to look at the zoning ordinances and the path that we should use to update them is we look at the documents that are already approved and documented within the city. And so many of you may have been involved 2 years ago with the comprehensive plan. So that was officially adopted in 2018. And it establishes the city's vision for the future. It defines the current state of the city. It looks forward into the desired state for the city. And then it sets forth the work plan to achieve that outcome. So what I wanted to do, just to get everyone just kind of thinking of different things that are happening around them and kind of put us in a perspective where you can kind of think of things in the ordinance, which I know a typical person does not touch every day. They may not even touch every year. So some of those residential land use goals that were identified through the public and through that comprehensive plan 2 years ago was to restrict encroachment of unwanted land uses into those single family neighborhoods that exist now, to provide green space buffers between new commercial and industrial and those existing neighborhoods, to preserve open space and have ponds to serve as recreational opportunities, and implement overall design standards for development. Now, we also have several land use goals for commercial areas that was identified in the comp plan. And those are to encourage the mixed use development in the Main Street corridor, to implement streetscape improvements, to implement the recommendations of the Fort Gillum Strategic Reuse Study, and that's actually what the picture is to the right of your screen, to incorporate new residential developments within Fort Gillum, to promote retail development inside the fort that aligns with Main Street, and to promote mixed-use redevelopment of multifamily housing along Forest Parkway. Now, there is another document that is also adopted, and it is currently being reviewed and updated right now. It's a separate project, but it actually is kind of following a similar timeline to us, because our goal is to incorporate all of the recommendations of the Downtown Main Street Livable Centers Initiative into the Code of Ordinances. Now, even though we do not have a defined list of everything that will be included in it, some of the things that we expect to see come out of it are locations and discussions about pedestrian and bicycle access, vehicular access and sidewalks throughout the city and other developments, street trees and landscaping materials. Street furniture was identified previously, and I suspect that it'll still remain in there. Walls and fences, and of course, building materials and colors of those buildings. So now that you kind of have your mind thinking a little bit of things that maybe you want to see or things that you already know that are happening within the city, let's kind of break down and talk about a little bit of those existing zoning ordinances or those existing zoning districts in the city. Like we said, there are a combination of residential, commercial, industrial, and mixed use districts. And those are essentially exactly what you would think they would be. So as you drive by them every day, we know that there are several residential districts, 2 of which accommodate single family homes, another one that accounts for duplexes. And then we have 2 more that would be where apartments, condominiums, and townhouses are located. There is one for mobile home park. There are 3 different districts when it comes to commercial. And so when you think about those kind of relate to neighborhood shopping centers, larger commercial strip retail centers, and then of course, kind of those highway designated uses that are closer to the interstate. And then there are several industrial districts, a light industrial and a heavy industrial. The planned industrial is actually specific to the farmers market. And then the Gillum zoning is actually specific to the Fort Gillum redevelopment plan. The city also has a planned unit development district, which currently allows different combination of uses such as residential, commercial, and some light industrial uses to be involved within it. Now, the one thing that has to go along with the text is a zoning map. So this is your current city zoning map in all of its color and glory there. And one of the things that I just kind of wanted to point out is what the actual composition of the land is here in the city. So 45% is for those residential uses, those single family homes, those apartments, the townhouses and condominiums. 10% are commercial uses, and 43% are industrial uses. And then we have 3% of the land set aside for mixed use developments. Now, just so you have a little flavor of where we're going tonight, like I said, this is not the beginning and not the end of the process. This is really where we're going to get all of you interested in all of your feedback. So throughout this process, we have worked with the city elected and appointed officials. We have set up an internal advisory group. So those are the actual people and those departments in the city who are the ones who are responsible for interpreting the codes, for enforcing the codes, for reviewing those when plans are coming in, and ultimately approving those. We have also reached out and had conversations with the Planning Commission. Maybe a couple of you have joined us. It was about, did we do the Planning Commission here, James? Not yet, right? We're gonna, when the Planning Commission meets again and has a full agenda, we'll also be presenting with them, but they will be updated through this entire process.
Right, we haven't met with them yet.
Okay, and then we have the focus groups. And so this will come into play a little later when we actually have some real text truly drafted and worked out. So whether we work with business owners or you as residents, or even contact a couple of you who are in the meeting here with us tonight, we want you to actually kind of drill in and help us a little farther to make sure that we're getting everything right. And then once again, these community meetings, because this is really one of that important thing. You know, the cities work with these ordinances all of the time and all of the business owners, but we really want to hear from you on what you see, what experience you're having, things that you want to do that, you know, maybe there's a process in the code that you just can't get through. And that's what we're looking to hear tonight. So as Ozzy said earlier, you know, nothing on this process is going to happen directly overnight. We are actually slated to finish out this project in late summer. So if you're ever interested in finding out where we are or need more information, you can always log on to the city website and you will see the project website embedded into that. And then we do have a zoning ordinance survey that is up. I know everyone here tonight will actually receive also an email because we want everyone to go online and give us all your feedback. So if you have a friend, invite them to the survey, have anyone in your house do the survey, because that's really one other tool that we're using to reach out. It shouldn't take long for everyone, but we do have some questions and we do want to know your feedback. So this is where the fun really begins. So now that everyone has a good idea of kind of what the zoning ordinances are, and hopefully you've thought a little bit about what you see and how you interact within the city yourself, we are going to kind of have an open dialogue discussion and move us through this entire process. So I just kind of want to remind everyone, we do have some standardized questions to kind of just get the conversation starting and moving forward. So we can start there, and if we have to go off on any kind of responses and things like that, then we will call on you. So if you can just submit it in the chat box, then Rachel and I will kind of monitor everything and go back to forth and make sure that we can get everyone's feedback here tonight. So let's do this. So question number one is, what words come to mind when you describe the patterns of development in the city of Forest Park?
And this is where we would like you to answer the question in the chat box, and we'll call on you by name to discuss some of them.
And it can be anything, good, bad, it's okay. Oh yeah, everyone's ready, there we go. Oops. Oh yes, everyone, they're still coming up, aren't they?
So some of them are saying slow, stagnant, patchwork, scattered, needs modernizing, and lacking.
Okay.
And then we also have silo work and inconsistent. We have some more coming in, Casey.
Perfect. We'll give you, Les, a little bit longer. So I think we've kind of rooted out that we have some work to do on this one. And I guess I want to kind of call on a couple people to kind of just, if you want to unmute and just kind of elaborate a little more for us. I know the chat box, you can only type in so much. But can we have Ann Keith talk about what slow really means to you?
Well, as a person who grew up in this city and has lived here most of my life, not all my life, but most of my life, I have a home here in Forest Park. I'm a citizen here. We've been talking about this forever. And, you know, having been a person who grew up here, this is a fantastic city. And it just feels like people are talking and nothing is happening. And so for me, it's very slow. I find it very frustrating. But I want the city to be my home. So I continue to live here and try my best in my own home, in my own surroundings, to, you know, do my best to influence my community and my neighbors to make this place a better place and to have a better reputation, because I believe in Forest Park, and this is where I want to live, and nothing's happening. So for me, that's how I feel, and that's where my process is. I feel like it's words and no action. So I'm looking forward to what you have planned in the future. Thank you.
I think you're muted, Casey.
You're muted, Casey.
There we go. How about Sparkle Adams? Your comment was that it's stagnant.
Oh, Lord have mercy. I knew you were going to call on me.
I'm going to go right down the line. I'm so sorry. You can tell me if you want to pass, but.
No. As a former elected official, I've seen plans come and I've seen them go. I've seen some great plans, but it just doesn't seem like it moves to fruition. We've had a whole lot, but what happens is the elections happen, and then new people come in, and we don't have a consistency with respect to the process moving forward, or the ideas or the suggestions or the plans moving forward from one administration to the other. That's it.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And Robin Kemp, your comment was patchwork.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. I'm here not in my official capacity. I'm here as a resident and homeowner in Forest Park. We bought this house about 13 years ago, and I spent every waking minute for 2 years, I mean, all of my spare time, 100% of it, driving around every neighborhood in Metro Atlanta looking for an affordable place to live that looked like, you know, something you could fix up and, you know, some potential. And the thing that got me was the park. I said, wow, look at this super great park. And they have, you know, a rec center and pool and another pool and this and that. And, you know, there's so much potential, right? And after 13 years of living here, I keep waiting for the potential to actuate. And I'm really kind of tired of waiting, frankly. It seems, I know that there are boards and that they're doing things and they're trying to get stuff moving and they're working on Main Street and all of that. But it would be nice to see something like physically happening, really actually happening on an ongoing basis. It's kind of a, you know, everybody knows, you just sort of joke about the fact that there are bricks on Main Street, or, oh, look, they put in a fountain. But, you know, we need more than that. We need to be able to have that green mile, which I thought was supposed to go right up West Street. But the last time I saw a map, it looked like they moved it to Main Street. Tell me if I'm wrong, please. Some things that are amenities that everybody else in Atlanta has, that, you know, even you go down the road to International Park, it's beautiful. It's fantastic. You know, the county's got a lot of nice facilities. Morrow's got beautiful nature trails and things. There's no reason why we can't have that. And we need it to offset some of this really horrible industrial stuff that's been here for a long time. I'm very worried about the environmental piece of this, which I don't think anybody addresses. And you know, I would like a place where I could ride a bike. That's pretty much it. Ride a bike, take a walk, have some sidewalks, some amenities. That's it.
Perfect. Thank you.
And Casey,
Mhm.
Robin also posed earlier before your first question. She was asking whether or not the project team is going to reach out to homeowners, specifically like herself, and who are whole here completely and not just investors. And I just wanted to let her know that we are, in fact, going to talk to homeowners like yourself and making sure that they do have a stake in the ordinance and the update that we're doing.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Rachel. So I do want to maybe do one more, which is One Day Meadows. I see you kind of chimed in twice with needs modernizing and silo work. So I'm a little bit interested in that one.
Yes. Yeah, so as a business owner, my mother and I have an early childhood program right up the street from the bricks on Main Street. So I guess from the silo work, we're the largest city in Clayton County. When we look at all the demographics, United Way has, it's called a Child Wellbeing Index. And Clayton County has the lowest well-being index out of all of the metro Atlanta counties. So when you talk about what are the ratings for maternal health, wealth, poverty, education, all of that, Clayton County has the lowest out of all of the metro Atlanta counties. And then with Forest Park, of course, for the city, the largest city in Clayton County. When Robin was talking about the parks, like green space, all of that has to do with, mental health, wellness, how you design your escapes, your bike paths. When I want to get bikes for the kids at our center for the holidays, they can't, because there are no sidewalks. There's nowhere for them to do it. So when you're talking about morbidity and obesity, these kids, they can't really, there's not enough places for them to go. When I'm talking about the silo work, I'm not sure, and I'm not involved in the city planning. I'm not involved in any of that. So I'm just as an outsider looking in, and also just going through our own situation that we went through with the city. I'm not sure that we do a lot of collaborations with other cities. So we're around East Point, we're around Morrow, we're around other local cities that I see personally get a lot of city planning grants, and they seem to overlook Forest Park. I feel like they just skip over Forest Park. So I see City of Riverdale getting $1 million grants from, these really big organizations that want to do business and want to help develop cities. And so I think it behooves us not to work with these other cities to find out how they're getting it, and collaborating with them to help the wellness of these places. Even the buildings, it just feels old. There's like a lot of old abandoned buildings like on my street. Nobody wants to bring their center or their child to a center, and there's like abandoned lots and apartments, and it just looks decrepit looking. So I just want to, hopefully as a business owner, raise the standards so that it can look, I hate always talking about, why is it always the people on the north side of town that have one standard, and then, Forest Park gets the leftovers? Like, there's something wrong with that.
Sure. Thank you so much for those comments.
Casey, can I chime in? I know that you just wanted one more comment, but I was very surprised when I received an email to join. This is the first time that I've received, and this is Shelley Williams, by the way. I'm sorry, I don't know. But this is the first time I've received anything to participate in some type of city planning organization. And I'm a new resident. I own my home there, and I'm close to downtown. When I first moved there, and I'm also a business owner, I actively sought out to be involved in the community, because like many people have already said, I see the potential in Forest Park, and I was excited about jumping in and getting involved to assist. Well, I was rebuffed, and the person who rebuffed me is no longer there. I don't know if that was kind of her attitude towards a lot of individuals, but when I heard about the revitalization program for downtown, and it'll be about 3 years that I've moved, I'm like, well, what's happening? And I see we have the bricks, but what else is going on. And the disbursement of information, I think people mentioned it several times that everything is slow. Well, I think that there's lacking of disbursement of information and keeping the citizens up to date of what progress is taking place. And that could help a great deal if the information was dispersed. I go to the website, I go to the Forest Park website often to look for updated information, and I don't see it there. Also, is there a press person at Forest Park? Because if there are, they're not dispersing the positive information that's happened. When I go to news, all I see is this negative information. So if there are good things happening in regards to the building and development and projects that are happening, I wish they would get that out there.
Sure, and that's no problem. And we can actually get all of your information to the city itself, and we'll assist in getting you some answers as to some of the questions you may have, and especially hopefully to see how you can get more involved if there's any boards or commissions or anything that we can work
Casey,
on.
I'm not just speaking about myself. I think it needs to be dispersed on a broader level, and I do appreciate the fact that you mentioned getting it directly to me, but this information should be dispersed to the citizens, not just, and it needs to be a portal in which you could disperse that information.
Sure, and that's understandable. Like I said, I've used the city website several times to find some information. So we will work to get those answers for you.
Hey, Casey, can I just mention
Sure.
that there's two things that are happening right now, and I'm sorry, what was the lady's name? The one was just
Shelley,
speaking.
I believe.
Shelley. Yes, my name is James Shelby. I'm the city planner. And if you would look on our website, the projects that we're working on right now, for example, the zoning ordinance, which is going to be the basis for trying to get more development in, and also the Main Street LCI plan that we're working on at the same time. Those things are online, and you're absolutely right. Anything that we're working on, we're going to make sure that we get those things online for you. And I appreciate that comment.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mr. Shelby. I do find all of these comments very interesting, and I do want to go to Clifford P., who put scattered. Is Clifford still with us?
I have to unmute myself. I'm sorry. I don't have a whole lot to add because what I've been thinking has been pretty much stated already by everybody here.
Perfect.
I think everyone's done a good job of kind of summarizing what I've been feeling.
Great. Then let's move on to the next question and kind of dive into the next one here. So when everyone goes out to shop or to eat or for entertainment, or whether it's for family activities or things that you're doing as a family, where do you go? And it does not have to be located within the city itself. This question is really just kind of spell out where people are going, and then we're going to dive in a little bit to why you're going there.
And once again, please take this opportunity to type your answer into the chat box, which I see people are doing already, so thanks.
All these years are saying privately that no one else got him.
Is that it for everyone? Perfect. So this, I'm not gonna lie, is one of what I think is the most interesting to find out. So I will be calling on everyone. You can kind of just state the reason. But what we want to know with this information is really, why do you frequent them? So when you think about these locations, why do you go there? Is it because you can do all of your shopping in one place? Is it because it's easy to get to? I also want to know maybe what you see, what you could possibly smell when you're there, whether it be at one of your favorite restaurants or just the flowers that could be in the landscaping. And some of the things like, how does it make you feel? You know, are there certain things that make you feel safe about going there and all of that? So I think we're going to jump right in. And kind of, I'll just call on everyone real quick. And if you can just give us the first quick couple thoughts that come to your mind. So Ms. Meadows likes to go to Buckhead. So could you tell us why?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, it's just one-stop shop. Everything, Bed Bath & Beyond, DSW, all my farm burgers there, the movie theaters there, just everything is there. There's a spa that I like to go to. It's called Treat Your Feet. $30 or $40 for 1 hour massage. Maggiano's is there. Just everything I need is right there. I don't have to go too far.
Perfect. So you like to get in and experience it all?
Yeah.
And then Clifford likes YoJ's and Mad Max. Can you tell us what those are, sir? Does he need to unmute?
Hello, I'm sorry, Mad Max is an awesome place, Kingston Grill. I was thrilled to see development in that plaza. I've been here for many years, and for the longest time that was an empty plaza, and I have spent a lot of money at Mad Max. I've spent them on first name basis at YoJ's. As much as we can, my wife and I tend to try to stay local just because we like putting money back into our local economy. With the pandemic, we've done even less going out. We have stuff brought to us. We shopped at the local Kroger, and yeah, we've done a lot of our business locally. That's it.
Perfect. Well, it sounds
Perfect.
like
Well, it sounds
you're
like
visiting a
you're
spot
visiting
that
a
has
spot.
some development that happened. So that's a wonderful thing. And then Robin Kemp, you have Little 5 Points. Woman after my own heart there. I spend a lot of time there myself. Fayetteville, Morrow, and Decatur. So why don't you just quickly tell us what it is about those areas that you enjoy the most?
Sure. I lived in Atlanta for, oh my God, like a number of years before I moved down here. Little 5 Points and Decatur are mostly out of habit. It's places that I'm familiar with. And it's not too far to shoot up Moreland Avenue to get to Little 5 Points, and Moreland Junction, I think, is the name of the shopping center that's like right on this side of the overpass by Little 5 Points. I go there quite a bit. I go to that Target. There used to be a Target on Mount Zion Road years ago, but that's gone. If I go to Fayetteville, I can go to Target. If I go to Fayetteville, I can go to Guitar Center. What is the shopping center down there in Fayetteville? It has all the box. Yeah. So I can go there. I can go to Guitar Center and get gear. I can't get any equipment I need for work over here. And I'm sure not going to drive to the north side to get it. They have, there's Sprouts down there. I would love to see a Sprouts here. I would love to see a Sprouts in that old Rite Aid up on the corner of Ash and Forest Parkway, or some kind of small, like a Whole Food 365, or it doesn't have to be Whole Foods, but something like that where it's fresh, you know. What were the other two? Where are they? Fayetteville. That was Fayetteville. Decatur is for restaurants and for atmosphere, being able to walk around. Little 5 Points is Little 5 Points, you know. And if I'm desperate for something that I can only get at the pharmacy or at 7 Nanda, I can go there. And what was the other one? Morrow, of course. Morrow is, that's what's left of Mount Zion. And they continue to struggle. Somebody will decide they want to open a restaurant. They get into a space that's too big. They're open for 6 months and then they go out of business. And it just continues. But they still have, like Forest Park does, they still have a Home Depot. So you can go get what you need there. They got a PetSmart. Not that I particularly want to go to PetSmart. I go there sometimes. I go to Swint's Feed in Jonesboro sometimes. There's other things there. There's not really, you can get some clothes and things like that around here, but that's about it. There's like a lot of people said, there's nowhere to really sit down and eat except for like maybe Atlanta Bread or maybe Sonia's, if that's still even open on Main Street. And, there's just no restaurants. There's nowhere to socialize. There's nothing to do. There's nowhere to go. There is the cider place, and that's about it.
Perfect. And so we have Sparkle Adams, who drives a little bit further south. So why don't you tell us why you frequent Stockbridge and McDonough area?
Well, everybody that knows me knows I love exit 221 because you have Bed Bath & Beyond, you have Belk's, you have Target, you have everything just down there in that one area. You could go right across the street to Olive Garden, Cheddar's, and things we don't see here in the community. I love Cheddar's. That's why I like that exit.
Perfect. We have a lot of people are actually attending the same places. Is Miss Wells, can you tell us where you like to go in Morrow and Atlanta?
Hello, everyone. Basically the same reasons everyone else has said.
So I'm going to ask one more question to kind of dive in. What do you see when you go to these areas that are different than within the city of Forest Park?
Oh, shopping.
Okay.
Sit down restaurants, just nice atmosphere places that you can go and sit down with your family, have a good time with your family, and not just shopping and dinner, but things to do, activities to do. So, and that's something we need in the city of Forest Park. I would rather spend my money here than go elsewhere, but hopefully we can make those things happen. So basically the same as everyone else.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of more sights and sounds, Sparkle Adams comments that the cleanliness is what you see when you go elsewhere.
Perfect.
And similarly on the train of food, since we're all hungry, is the smells good food because people are the restaurants, and then the atmosphere is what Miss Belinda is commenting.
Perfect. Let's see, did we, so I want to actually ask Ann Keith what was meant by missing opportunity at farmers market.
Well, I think we all talk about Whole Foods and Fresh Market and Sprouts, I believe is the other place. We have a farmer's market right down the street that is not what I want to go to. I go there a lot, don't get me wrong, because I could just run down the street and get fresh vegetables. However, if you think about a place like DeKalb Farmers Market, where you can go and get everything in one building, I would love to see our farmers market with an opportunity to go down and get fish, chicken, beef, and vegetables. And that is not something that our farmers market allows. Not only that, just to have at our farmers market an opportunity to go into an enclosed building that has heat and air that provides fresh food, because sometimes when you pick up, vegetables down at the market, you come home and 2 days later, they're no good. So I would love for our state farmers market to allow an opportunity like that.
Perfect. Great ideas. So let's move on to the next question, which actually most of you have really kind of touched on already. So some of these next portions will kind of move a little quickly. But when you think of whether it be housing or commercial businesses or even opportunities for employment, what uses or venues do you think are missing from the city? So these could be different types of housing options, employment opportunities, certain businesses. I know we've just talked about a lot of those when it comes to the restaurants and to the shopping, and even things like entertainment venues or sports complexes or things like that. And if we go ahead and type those all in, and we do have a comment in here from Dr. Bambi Hayes Browns about arts and culture. That's a wonderful comment.
Yep.
So I see we have comments in here about mixed use properties. Once again, downtown culture and arts. So that's going to be a theme that we're looking at. Jazz clubs and live music, outdoor dining. And many people are still chiming in that those are all great. Do we have any more coming up? We have creatives, incubator projects, mixed use commercial, with the commercial down on the lower floors with residential up on the upper floors, art galleries, small theaters and music venues.
And also co-working places and then curated places as well.
Perfect. Okay. To me, those seem pretty straightforward on uses. And I can actually tell you, and I know city staff will also point out, because they pointed out many times to me, many of these uses are just not completely spelled out in the code as it exists now. So this is wonderful because we will make sure that we not only add them in areas, but also make sure that they're defined properly and put within the districts that are needed. I see a lot of people have talked about mixed use, and none of that from the conversation so far has shocked me. So that is actually good to hear. And we have gyms and things like that. So on to the next question. Are there too many of a certain use in the city? Whether it be a business or anything, it really doesn't matter. Just, is there anything that you think there's too many of? So we have Family Dollars and churches. We'll let everyone keep typing in if they have anything. Dollar stores once again. Oh, and I love the comment, too many empty buildings. That is perfect. Too much industrial, gas stations. It really looks like everyone kind of sees and thinks the same things. Too many ugly warehouses. And then I think we're going to ride home that empty building scenario. So hopefully through the new ordinance updates, we can work with the economic development team to get them everything they need to make sure that those buildings are soon occupied. And then the homes and the boarded up homes, that is something that has come up in our discussion. with staff and elected officials as well. So everyone is really thinking all along the same lines. And businesses that have cars out front, we've heard this one as well as it relates to abandoned or car repairs or things like this. So perfect. These are wonderful comments. So the next section we have here for you is going to be a set of polls. And there is no right or wrong answer, let me tell you. It's kind of just your first gut reaction. What we have is actually 2 pictures on each poll. So we'll give you what the topic is, and then you'll see A and B. And Ozzy will, once I get the picture up, Ozzy will actually set up the poll. So you'll just have a couple seconds to answer it. And we will go ahead and show the results. So here we go. The first one is single family homes. Just go ahead and rate those, which one you like better.
All right, I'll go ahead and I'll give you guys just another moment.
Perfect.
And there's the results.
So overwhelming, well, it's a little bit split, but many people are leaning towards image B. I suspect it's just possibly because it has a little more architecture and feeling to it. So let's move on to the next one. Oops. And this is going to be townhomes.
All right, and I'll go ahead and share the results.
Perfect. Oh, once again, image B wins. And now this would be apartment buildings. Go ahead and tell us which one you like best.
All right, I'll go ahead and share results.
Oh, and image B is by far the winner on that poll there. So you'll see the different types of architecture. The parking is actually housed within or underground on that building. I'm not sure exactly which one exactly, but that helps us to know how to design things. And then these are condominiums.
All right.
And image, well, this is kind of a little tight actually, but image B is going to win here. These are going to be your commercial centers.
All right.
Oh, and nobody liked image A, so image B is the winner here. And that follows through with exactly what everyone was talking about the outdoor dining, the ability to walk through. You can see some landscaping in those areas. And then this is mixed use developments.
Right.
And image B is going to be the winner here as well. So as you can see, you have the commercial that's wrapped around on the first floor, and then obviously residential area that goes on top. And you of course have the pedestrians going around. It looks like they might be having a small festival or something on that photo. And then entertainment options.
All right, I'll go ahead and share that.
And image B is actually going to win that one. So that would be for an outdoor amphitheater, which could probably convert for some festivals or entertainment such as that. So great. Thank you for all of that. Now we are just going to move on.
Casey, just to interrupt. Before I move on to the next questions, I'm just going to call out some comments from the chat box.
Sure.
Shelly Williams put that she did not like the new built homes, and I just wanted her to go on further if she did not mind about what she meant by that.
Okay.
I like the charm of Forest Park as far as the homes. They are older homes. They have a lot of potential. When I think about the newer homes, I'm just not attracted. The neighborhoods that I am attracted to are like the Decatur area and also over in Hateville, where they have the smaller, older homes. I would hate to see that the older homes would be torn down and replaced with the new build. I think that there's opportunity to revitalize or refurbish the existing home.
Perfect. Those are great comments. And I can tell you within the zoning ordinance itself, the update, nothing here would actually lead to looking forward to remove neighborhoods or anything like that. It would be looking for infill opportunities, things of that nature, and ultimately helping, if there are some areas that need improvement, helping find ways that the code could help residents do those improvements. So we are thinking along the same lines, and those are great comments. Oh, sorry, one second. So I don't know why it does that. Okay, so let's talk about visual impacts. And this is basically what you see when you're driving through or walking through the city. So when you think of those visual improvements needed in the city, what do you actually think of? These could be things like street trees, sidewalks. We've actually heard that before. We've talked about paths, landscaping, lighting. We've really kind of touched on a little bit of the building facade and some parking that would go along with that. So go ahead and write those within the text box.
And it looks like we already have some early answers. So Sparkle Adams comments that curb appeal and better design homes and commercial buildings. And then similarly, C. Ann commented building facades, and then trees, walking and bike paths, and also street lighting and better curbs.
Perfect. Those are all great comments. And those are things that we can actually incorporate into the ordinances through this update process.
And it seems so far that a lot of the comments have to do with enhancing the natural environment that exists in Forest Park. So adding the trees, adding the sidewalks, adding the trails.
Perfect. Street lighting and better curbs. And I do want to let everyone know these are actually all of the same and similar comments that we've heard from the mayor and the council members, as well as city staff and economic development teams. So these comments are right on track. And make the shopping malls pave their parking lots. I saw that one. And then paved walking paths. Okay. So like I said, everyone is really talking about all the same stuff here, and everything that you spoke of is exactly what we can incorporate into the code. So if it's okay, we have another poll for you. And this one is going to be run the same exact way. We'll give you the topic, and then you can just tell us what picture you like most. And the first one is going to be parking.
All right, give you just another moment. Share those results.
And we have image B that comes ahead here. I'm going to assume it's a little bit because of the mature trees that are there in the parking area. You actually have a lower kind of wall that acts as a fence to separate the parking from the pedestrians. And then of course the pedestrians have their own walkways and paths that are outside of those parking areas. And the next one is going to be landscaping.
You guys, just another minute, another few seconds. Right, share those results.
And this one was kind of close. This one was a little tied. Both pictures actually show a lot of vegetation, so I think everyone really likes that. Picture B actually has a little more flowering of the flowers and things like that, so that's wonderful. And how about sidewalks? And image A is actually going to win here. So you have the wider sidewalks that actually also allow some outside dining options at those. Now let's talk about building materials. Which building do you like better? And this one was a little close, but image A actually wins here. I'm not sure if anyone knows this just from the photos itself, but this is actually more of an industrial construction. So that front area is actually metal on the building. But then of course you have the kind of brick and stone work that accents that with more colors that get involved. So now we are gonna, oh, go ahead, Rachel. She's reading all the text boxes. I'm going too fast.
Yeah, I just want to call out from the comments that one of the earlier ones you showed the parking, and that Mr. Steve Bernard mentioned that he preferred parking on the side or rear of the building, which is definitely something that we can incorporate within the zoning ordinance update.
Yes. And I do see permeable pavers in there as well. And that is also something that we can look at as different types of options when it comes to parking areas. So now let's talk a little bit about signs. Once again, no right or wrong answer, but we're just kind of trying to fill out, what do you think of the signs you see driving throughout the city? And when we talk about signs, we're really talking about anything. It really doesn't matter. It could be wall signs, it could be ground signs, it could be the pole signs that you see. I know you actually have city signs, the farmers market has signs, even wayfinding signs. We could even talk about street signs and things that tell you where the libraries are and stuff like that. So we're really kind of looking for anything that you know and recognize throughout the city. So we do have a comment that the city signage should actually be bigger, and that the signs actually lack any type of true consistency throughout the city. We have Steve's Shopping Center has good signage. Robin, can you tell, I'm sorry, I don't know what Steve's Shopping Center is. Can Robin or
maybe Steve could speak to this better since it's his property. I honestly don't. It's Jasper Plaza.
What do you like about those signs?
Well, they're new for one thing. They're clean. They have good graphic design, and they're not overwhelming. You know, it's small, but you can see everything that's in there, and it's not like, here's my giant sign, and it looks like crap, which is 99% of the signage in the city.
Okay, so these are newer, modern, professional signage. That's perfect.
Signs, yeah.
We have some comments that there are too many homemade signs. I'm sure I probably know exactly what you're talking about. So we will be sure to include construction types when it comes to the sign ordinance. When it comes to the sign ordinance itself, the city is going to work on undertaking the sign portion of the code. And then that will all come together and be placed within the whole zoning code update. We have some comments that everything looks tired and worn, inconsistent designs once again. Once again, talking about uniformity, taking it back to, they were looking at Peachtree City. So Latricia Atkin Wells must know Peachtree City real well and likes those signage. The schools could have better signage. Also looking at some of the, I'm assuming some of the city events are advertised on some temporary signage and banners. So we can also look at the constructions of those.
And then we have some comments from Robin about the legibility of the signs and similar to the readability, in that more stuff about the graphics and consistency with them as well.
Perfect. So I think we have knocked that section out of the park. All of those comments are great. And once again, those can be incorporated into the update itself. So we will take all those comments. And we have one more poll for everyone. This one will be really quick. And this is going to be about signage.
All right, we'll share those results.
So image A is the front runner on this one. So in this picture itself, the signage itself is lower to the ground. You don't actually see any poles. You have the stone that encases around the signage itself. They're easy to read. And I know the fire marshal would love that you can actually see the address on that sign. So let's move to the next one. And these are going to be wall signs.
Give you one more moment.
Perfect.
Results.
Okay, and image A actually wins on here when it comes to the sign. That signage itself actually has a wood back to it and kind of blends in a little bit on the railing, but then the name of the restaurant actually sticks out with the different color palette there. So that's wonderful. So this is really the portion where we are going to wrap up this meeting. So I do want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. I want to let you know that all of these comments we receive are going to be reviewed, discussed, and we are going to work with the city itself to determine how to best incorporate all of these items that have come out of this process. Once again, I do want to let everyone know that you can kind of keep an eye on what we're doing throughout the process by logging on to the website to check the status there. And we do have everyone's information, so you should have received an email to take our survey on the way out. But if there's anything else right now that you want the city or us as the consulting team to know, about your interactions with the current zoning ordinance, please let us know now. And you can just type those in. And actually, before I totally close this out, Mr. Shelby, is there anything else you want to close with?
I want to thank our city council members that joined us, Casey.
Okay.
We had Councilman Antoine DeBose and also Councilwoman Latricia Atkins Wells. And of course, our great mayor who gave their introduction. We appreciate them taking time out from their busy schedules to join us this evening.
Perfect. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. If you are a tech savvy person and do have your phone right there with you, you can actually scan our QR code right there, and that will take you directly to the survey link. The survey should be pretty quick. It should only take you about 5 minutes to run through with that. And we'll kind of just dive in a little deeper on some of the items that we discussed here tonight. And also, if you have friends or relatives, tell them to go on and jump on and take the survey. Whether they have or have not interacted directly with the ordinance itself, there's actually comments that I think everyone can relate to when it comes to the questions. And we do have a lot of thank yous. So I want to thank everyone finally for joining us here tonight. And if you do have any follow-up questions, or if you leave the meeting and you dream about the zoning ordinance at home tonight, or as you're driving through this city, maybe tomorrow or over the next couple days, and something jogs within your memory about wanting to tell us, you can just log on to that website and you will see that email to get directly in touch with us. So I will turn it back over to Ozzy, and we will keep everyone updated through this entire process. The next community meeting right now, so the next portion of our project is actually to begin drafting the text. So you won't see us for a couple months, but we will be reporting back to you in early summer when we can actually show you the results of your comments and how they were incorporated into that zoning ordinance. So thank you once again.
Yes, and everybody who registered for the event should have received an email with this survey link. It's got the link and the QR code in there. If you did not receive it for some reason, you can reach out to us again at that email address, and we will get back. We can email that to you if you haven't received it, but that was sent during the meeting. But we appreciate you guys joining us tonight. Thank you so much for being so interactive and sharing your thoughts. It was very helpful. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you.